Hello everyone, I'm not in the edit, so we're just going straight into this. It's good to be back. I've had some bad solo videos, really lost without my partner. This channel is probably going to be the two of us, and I'll change the name of it from, I don't know what's called right now. I think it's called Zachary Brown.
It is just Zachary, that's the name of the channel.
Yeah, it's going to be the Anabolic Opera Bros. Because we have stuff to talk about.
We have stuff to talk about. We have topics.
Yeah, we do. This is kind of a throwback, really, to the first episode ever. Because,
yeah,
God, every time we do this, you just fucking flirt with my knee every time.
Oh, that's your knee? Oh, I thought it was the. God, you're so rock solid. I just thought it was the actual. Tape.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the first episode ever, you had lost 44 pounds.
Oh God.
Well,
damn.
We have an update on several fronts, and really, this episode is about the commencement of the bodybuilding. I would say this is more of a physique journey, actually, because bodybuilding would be actually, I think, another 2 years and then another cut.
Yeah.
But it's the same process. It just takes more time, I think, to be able to say, yes, this was a bodybuilding competition for me.
Right.
It was physique, and then they tricked you into bodybuilding.
Well,
But also,
I will say this though, I
know what you're gonna say. We're
Okay.
gonna get there.
All right.
We're gonna get there. I just wanted to say for the viewing public, if you first start lifting, nice. You're probably not gonna look like or stand up against guys who have been doing bulks and cuts, and competitions. You're not gonna look like them on your first go around, which is why it's like, well, you start physique and then go bodybuilding usually, but we'll get to why we did both later. So actually the low that you set, which we crossed the threshold from healthy body weight loss into unhealthy body weight loss for the purposes of the competition.
Yes, we did.
But I figured we should just start this with, again, recap. You started, the heaviest you ever were was 257.5.
Yes, that's correct.
The lowest you've ever were during this was 165.8.
Yes. Oh God.
So, 80 plus pounds.
Yeah.
81.7 pounds.
Wait, no.
Difference.
Is it 90 pounds or is it 8? It's 90 pounds.
Sorry.
92, almost 92 pounds. Right? Oh gosh. Right? 167 plus 90.
Yeah.
Would be 257, right?
Wow. 91.7 pounds.
Yes.
Total, like from the lowest you were during this whole thing to the highest.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 2 plates. So
I lost 2 plates.
So if you go to any kind of regular gym and you pick up 2 of the biggest plates, that's how much weight Sam lost.
Yeah.
But okay, so I think really maybe just a quick review. Let's get to the point where I'm in the gym with you and I'm like, I think you should compete.
Yes.
So, okay. So, you start on okay. What was the original thing that you were doing to lose weight?
You mean like how I was losing weight or why I was losing weight?
How?
How? It was just, what started off as just counting my calories and
what were
exercising.
they again? This is going to be a quick run to that moment where we start beginning. How many calories approximately?
Oh, well, when I started out, I was eating not very much actually. I was eating like 2,500.
Right.
Almost every day.
Right. And what was your gym routine like?
The gym routine starting off was just lifting almost every day, taking 1 day off, and minimal cardio. And then once the cardio increased later on, then the calories also went up, and the training got a lot more specific.
Yeah.
And
okay. So then we arrived at the day that I'm like, you should compete. I'll only just say what my thoughts were on that day.
Yeah.
Sam had been looking, I'd say, more and more and more of a specimen in the gym, to the point where, you know, when you first started, it was like, it's a guy who goes to the gym, not necessarily like different from the rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
And then it started getting to the point where it was like, this guy looks pretty athletic. And then, you know, because Sam and I lift a lot together, especially when our schedules line up, it's pretty much every time.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing stuff that was like jumped out in a unique way. The first thing I noticed was when he started getting lean, his shoulders, you have really uniquely defined shoulders when you get lean.
Yes.
The striations really cut across.
Yes.
Like I think at my
Should I take my shirt off?
No. I think at my leanest I had like 2 or 3 clear separations.
Yeah.
But even when you weren't at your leanest, they were already like gossamer definitions creeping in.
It was just weird. It's like, you know, you never know like how your genetics are going to play out and what parts of your body are going to hold more or less fat. And my shoulders got lean really quickly before other parts of my body got as lean. And I had like, I mean, it was like like claws, claws in my shoulders. But I didn't even. But on other parts of my body's like my quads didn't have the separation at all. And I mean that's pretty normal. But my upper back as well is what you may have.
I'll get there.
Okay. Oh yeah. All right.
Now, we both know this is something that's clearly visible. Is that your biceps you have pretty good bicep genetics.
Thank you.
I actually roll it up and flex because. So, you can kind of see that there's a pretty good peaking in his bicep.
Yeah.
Like, whereas mine, you can see mine is going to be longer, and mine doesn't peak up nearly as much as Sam's does. And that definitely what jumped out, the leaner that he got.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was, I'm going to save the distinguishing characteristic for last.
Yeah.
Sam flexed his quad for me once, and his teardrop extended really, really low.
Yes, it does.
And his vastus lateralis attached really high, and that gave his leg a lot of like range, I would say, in the muscularity.
Right.
It wasn't super defined that first time that sticks out in my mind. I was just like, damn, that is a low vastus medialis.
Yes. It's a hanging teardrop.
Yeah. Okay. That was a characteristic. Then the big one was, and Sam didn't know, totally can't see it really. Sam turned around and flexed his upper back like this. And I had known when we were in Crunch Union Square once working out together, and I called it the 4 boulder back, because it looked like there were just 4 big knots across your back. Okay. Sam leaned out quickly in his shoulders and his back. When he flexed his back, it looked like something that you would expect to see at a physique competition. And in addition to that, when Sam stands in front, his lats kind of come out naturally without him flexing. That gives his body the illusion of a greater width.
Right.
And so when I saw him flex the back, plus looking at him in the front with the lats kind of coming around and giving a V shape, I thought, this is this is a worth putting on stage if we can get him lean enough. So I said it pretty seriously, I would say. Like, it was like 75% serious and 25% like a compliment. And I didn't really know how Sam was going to run with it.
Oh man!
But it was really exciting for me when you were like, I think it was, I want to say it was 3 or 4 days later.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
and I sent you like a text.
Yeah,
like, right.
I actually think you said it to my face.
I did. I had a text ready to send him, and then I like actually went up to him in person before I sent the text, I'm like, I want to do this, and I want you as my coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm committing to this, and I want to compete. And it was something that, like, I needed someone. I needed Zach, somebody, to tell me that I should. Because I never thought I could or should, or it was not worth the trouble. But once he did, I was like, gosh, I really want to. Even though I had no idea how hard it was going to be. I really didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, actually, interestingly, this will be good. What did I do to your calories?
He upped them. Which I was like, that's wrong. You're wrong. I literally was like, that makes no sense. I'm gonna gain weight. I need to lose weight. And thank God he upped my calories, because I would have died trying to eat the same amount I was eating. And I discovered this because the leaner you get, the less your body wants to let go of that little bit of fat you have, and that little bit of fat or that extra fat you may have had at a higher body fat percentage, that's what was making it so you could have lower calories. And once that goes away, it's like, no, this food is the only thing keeping me alive. Like, that's what it felt like. I was like, every time I ate, I was like, oh, I'm alive again. Because, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was
That's what I'll say.
What was your lifting routine like? What did I change about that?
I was going every single set to absolute failure. Every set. That changed quickly. As soon as he became my coach, it was like, all right, the last set is to failure. And, and the first 2 sets are like 12 to 15 reps. And it was like really structured. It was really like focused. And it was consistent, like the same exercises almost every time. And but then once I got closer to competition, going to failure actually stopped because of the risk of injury. So when you're that low in body fat,
and you have no food to fuel
you know nothing to fuel you, you're dehydrated because
you can't stop pissing.
you can't stop peeing, and glycogen is
You
really
can't
low.
sleep.
You can't sleep. You can't stop peeing. You're always hungry, even if you just ate. It's awful. It sucks. But
what about rest days?
rest days were awesome.
But what did we do?
But I still did cardio on rest days. The cardio went up. The calories were about the same. And then I think, did we plan this to have a refeed once a week? Or was that just...
I wanted you to be having them.
Yes. Which saved my life. If I didn't have those like few days of like high calories, I mean, I couldn't have continued training.
To be honest with you, I was influenced for refeeding mostly by having watched Anthony Mantello for a long time.
Yeah.
And how his coach, Kyle, I don't know what his last name is, but like it was a staple for them. Like, okay, you go a whole week of suffering, you need a day for your body to soak something up.
Yes.
So it can go on the next 4, 5, 6 days.
Right.
And because you're so lean and you've been in such a deficit, what we're calling a refeed day is still probably a deficit or
Yeah.
maintenance. It's just like you have more, and specifically you have more carbohydrates. So yeah, we were doing a refeed day pretty much once a week. Yeah, with the intent. The intent was just, I need him to keep going to the gym. I need his muscles to stay like active and firm.
Right.
And also energy for everything else, like for example, posing routine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Or
work.
Or work. I do want to talk about work really quickly.
Oh,
so one of the reasons that calories could be, I mean, like he was losing weight at a the average amount of calories you eat per day over a given week was hovering around 3,000, and actually that was too low. The last 2 weeks I discovered, like, but the reason we could go so high is because he's a waiter, and that means there's 5 to 6 hours of being on your feet carrying things.
Pretty much non-stop.
Right. So, realistically, if I could go back and do it again, instead of averaging 3,000 calories a day for the last, there were those 2 weeks where you lost, like 2 straight weeks, it was like 2.5 pounds per week.
Yeah.
And if I could go back in time, I would have made the daily average like 3,400 instead of 3,000. Because I think that would have resulted in 1 to 1.5 pounds maybe or something.
Right.
But we could go with that high, relatively high, compared to, I think, probably what the normal, a suburban physique athlete goes
like a
with
car.
22 to 2,400 calories.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would even have been. I think you would have been dead.
I would have died.
In June, we would have buried Sam if we had done that. So
Legitimately, I would have died. And because, well, interestingly, back when I was a doorman, I just think this might be worth bringing up.
Yeah.
The difference in the caloric demand for each job. So when I was a doorman, it's very sedentary, and I would force myself to pace.
Yeah.
I would literally pace up and down this tiny, like, it wasn't very big. The lobby was pretty small, even though it was a luxury apartment building. It was a pretty small lobby. And I just walked back and forth until I got to 20,000 steps. And that was usually on top of cardio that I was already doing, like 30 to 45 on the bike. And when I was doing that, I was at a higher body fat percentage, but I was also eating, like I said, 24 to, at that time, like 2,700 calories a day. See, but then when I started working at the rest at Parm, and as a waiter, eating that much, even though I was getting fewer steps, I wasn't getting to my 20,000, I was getting 15 to 18 maybe. It's so much more physically demanding because you're carrying stuff, you're going up and down stairs. And when you're a doorman, it's like, okay, I did my steps, now I can sit down for 4 hours. You know what I mean? Whereas you cannot sit down when you're a waiter. It's just constant. So that, and I also underestimating how many calories walking burned when you're, 100 and what the time, probably like 180, 190 pound guy, moving your whole body around all the time, and you're like, and I just, I had to eat more, and it was really hard for me to convince myself and for Zach to convince me to do that. But thank God he did, because I would have died otherwise.
Yeah, you would have.
Seriously.
Okay, so posing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do physique posing first, because that's what did you have to do for physique posing?
So physique posing is much more simple. There's just the front, side, and back poses. And you can do little variations if you want, like you could hit this, and then you maybe could do that, like little things like that, but you have to keep a hand on the hip most of the time. Some federations have different rules, but like most of the time you gotta keep one hand on the hip, and it's more about like displaying, like, this is like a good looking dude at the beach. It's like a model. It's like modeling.
Yeah.
That's like physique posing, and they don't expect you or even really want you to be as lean as a bodybuilder would be. And one of the differences is, like, men tend to carry fat, like a decent amount of fat in their legs. So a physique guy could get up there and his upper body could look as shredded as, a dude in the lightweight bodybuilding category. But in reality, he's not quite as shredded because you can't see his legs. And that's where maybe some of that extra fat might be. But still an interesting thing, and also it's about the V taper. So you really like flaring your lats out and getting everything. It's like this top line is the most important thing, whereas bodybuilding is the entire body.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Then the bodybuilding poses. Tell them what the mandatories are.
The mandatories starts with front relaxed, just not relaxed, but like
Right.
it's similar to the physique front pose actually. So there's the front relaxed, there's the front lat spread, front double bicep, there's the side chest, and then the side tricep, and you do those on both sides. And then you turn around, you do back relaxed, back lat spread, back double bicep. So it's like basically the same poses from the front, but also from the back. And then the last couple poses are the thigh abdominal pose, where you crunch down your abs and flex your quads as hard as you can. And then there's the most muscular, which is like the Arnold
Right.
ones like that, or like this. That's the most muscular.
And then you get to have your own individual routine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and you can mix it up. You can put classic. But it depends on the federation. Sometimes they want you got to have all of the 7 mandatories in your routine, and other times they're like, no, you can put classic ones in there. It can be your own thing. So it depends.
And what did you choose, and what music did you use?
It was
What were the poses you chose?
the poses were the front lat, which I did not expect to be one of my best poses.
It was very strong.
Really didn't expect it, because I was like, oh, my lats or whatever.
What it did was it brought out that what I talked about that like caught my eye that day was that your natural
Right.
wings, plus what we discovered as you got leaner and leaner, your legs took on. His legs became the strongest part of his body.
Which I did not expect.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
once they got defined, they were really defined.
Yes, and I think actually the reason that I probably had that low calorie target, those low calories that those 2 weeks before were losing all the weight.
God, it
I'm
sucks.
sure Sam will remember this text like a nightmare, but I texted him and I said, we're not going on stage until those glutes have lines in them.
Oh, he's like, I want to see, when you get on that stage, I want to see lines on your ass. And I was like,
Yeah, and thus commenced an even deeper suffering. We were in the 7th or 8th circle of hell. We went to 9.
oh, we went to 9.
We got there.
I don't think I could have. If I had gotten any leaner, I don't know if I would have made
You
it.
you were close.
I was close to death.
I think you were between 5 and 6%.
I do. I think I was between 5 and 6.
4 to 5 is probably for guys who are on gear.
Yeah,
Below 4 is death.
below 4.
Pretty likely death.
This is not a joke. Like we're saying, haha, but like,
Oh,
legitimately, bodybuilders have died.
I forget the guy whose died. German dude.
Yeah, there's a German dude who got sub 4%,
4
sub 4,
and died.
and died because 3% is the essential fat,
yeah.
essential fat to live. You got to think, when you're that low and on diuretics, on all these things that
Right.
make you burn fat, 1% of your body weight when you're that low is not a lot of weight.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like you're towing a really thin line.
Right.
You're talking 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. I don't know. That guy was pretty big, but like
Yeah.
1.5 pounds, 2 pounds when you're on diuretics and God knows what.
Right.
Are you serious? Like, and that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
If I had lost like 5 or 6 pounds from where I was.
Yeah, I think if you had been like, let's pretend that you would have been 161 or 162, and then I'd asked you to keep doing the workload that you were doing, I think then you would have died. I think you could have laid in bed maybe and been that way.
Yeah, that's true. Like if I weren't as active, if I was one of those very sedentary, like I drive to the gym, I work out, I do my cardio, I drive home and not move, that's different. But when
I think you still would have been barely. I think you would have collapsed and died in the gym at that weight. No, seriously.
And I was only about 5 pounds from that weight, 5 or 6 pounds from.
Because you looked like 5 to 6% based on what I know about what that looks like. You were there.
And that was 167.
Yeah.
No thanks. Not healthy.
Right. Right. But it's an athletic competition, so it's like that's this is a good tangent before we go back to the post.
Right. Yeah.
This was different than having a goal of like, I want to lose weight to look and feel better, and be more healthy and have a longer. This was like, we're entering a competitive environment in the same way that a football player enters a competitive environment knowing that they're putting their body at risk. And that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
It's just that the competitive part of it is more of a pageant than a battle.
And this is what I tell people, and I wish more people would acknowledge. It's like I don't consider bodybuilding a sport. There are athletic things,
but it's a competitive endeavor.
Yeah, it is very competitive, and I think that a certain amount of athleticism is required.
Well, yes.
To get to the point where you look like that on stage, but inevitably it's a pageant.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I look good. I looked like I was about to die, but I looked good.
Well, you felt like you were about to die.
I did feel like I was about to die.
But you look like a statue.
I was very bronze too.
Yeah.
You need to clean my shower.
Oh, we'll go into that. Okay,
the spray tan. Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so
spray tan.
Okay, suppose you had the front lat,
and then I had front relaxed, front lat, a front double bicep, side chest, and then, which I was really happy with.
Yeah.
And then back lat spread. Back, and I wanted to get as much back stuff in there as possible. As I felt like it was
shredded in the back.
I was really shredded, so I got my back lat, back double bicep, and then I turned around and then I hit the Zane. And my body doesn't look anything like Frank Zane's. I mean, he's a Greek god, but like he's one of my favorite bodybuilders ever. And I was like, and I had a pretty good vacuum.
Yeah.
And that was one thing, is like,
vacuum.
I didn't have very strong abdominals. Like, I worked them out every day. I did everything I could.
You don't have chunky abs.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's just like some people just have better ab muscle bellies, insertions, etc. My ab genetics are not so great. But
or like a Bumstead lab.
Like a Bumstead or even Arnold. If you look at Arnold, he only has like 4 abs.
So this is what we kind of discovered. Well, this is our theory. This is our theory that the less chunky abs result, though they aren't as good in all other parts of the competition, they tend to have great vacuums.
Yes.
So whatever physiological reason is or that makes that happen, I don't know, and I don't want to speculate because I'll sound like an idiot, I'm sure. But
I do that every day.
The less chunky abs somehow have a better vacuum effect. That's what we kind of noticed.
Yes.
That's kind of what we noticed in our favorite. Like, I'm obviously thinking of Bumstead. And
Bumstead, yeah.
And interestingly, when you do the vacuum, somehow the abs come out more sometimes.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I think once I got to my leanest, and when I hit the vacuum, you'd actually be able to see the abs better than if I was trying to crunch them and make them happen, which was interesting.
And then so you finished with the crunch though.
But I finished right with my thigh abdominal. Yeah, I think I put my thigh out, right? I don't.
Yes.
But yeah, I was like da 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 da, and then I like that, and that's something that Zane would do. He would go from his Zane into the
right,
and I was like, I wanted to pay homage to him, and I thought it was musically also made sense with the music to crunch
What
right
music
there.
did you use, buddy?
I used Una Vela, the beginning music from Otello, and he helped me pick it out because I was between so many things. I was like, should I do like Dio, because I really liked Dio, and I was like, should I do something classic rock, because that's like some of my favorite music. And then I was like, I should do something classical, because it's like, when are they going to see that? And also, and then it's just like we went through all these things, and I was like, you know what? Otello is my favorite opera. I'm an opera singer. How many people here are opera singers? Which there was one, interestingly. But and so we happened on the opening music from Otello, and it just worked. From the get go, as soon as it started doing it, it was like, ba, 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 ba. And I was like, this all works.
Those first beats of the measures really kind of helped, I think, with like hitting the pose. And there was one specifically during the competition that hit really well, which I think was your second back pose.
Yes, my back double bicep.
Yeah, back double bicep. When you hit that, it was like right on the money with the music, and it was really, really cool. Okay, how did you choose the federation? This competition.
Yeah.
So first of all, it was July 17th in Utica, New York, and it was the INBF.
INBF. They are the amateur affiliate of WNBF, World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. I chose them. Well, there's a few things that went into it. Because there's a few natural bodybuilding federations, and I was about to do the OCB show, but it was really more of a logistical dates thing. So, and in hindsight, I was right to do this because so my sister's wedding was this past Saturday, and the competition that I was like, that the event that I was going to do was 2 weeks after the wedding, and I was like, this is an ideal time. It's going to be like August 7th or something. I'm going to have plenty of time to get lean, and it won't be like such a, I feel like we went pretty fast, but I felt like we went at a decent pace. But anyway, I was like, it's going to give me time to get my poses and get my package together. But then I was like, 2 weeks after my sister's wedding, I want to enjoy my sister's wedding. I want to eat, I want to drink, I want to party. And when you're 2 weeks out from a show, you cannot do that. You can't. You got to weigh your spinach. I mean, it's like you can't be drinking champagne when you're weighing your spinach. So it was just couldn't happen. And then there's one in October, and that was OCB. It's another federation that I was thinking about doing, but by the time October came, it was opera season, and
it's opera season now.
It's opera season now, and like you can't, as we've discovered, when you're shredded, super stupid lean, you can't sing. You just can't get the motor running.
Just quick tangent here,
which is a important discussion too.
Okay, the difference between being like competitively lean and just like a normal in shape person is like
20
this
pounds.
This is competitively lean. Il balende il suo sorriso nuovo infante. And then when you're like healthy, il balende il suo sorriso. It's just like you have something to press on. Something is spinning in your voice.
Yes.
Your registers are, like one thing that'll happen is like you'll be in middle voice and you'll go down into low voice and be like an error will come out. Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I didn't back off. This bendito io sono. It's like
it's like trying to start a 57 Chevy in the winter.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. It's just like your voice just just won't go. It's hard to, like, your vibrato is slow.
Or
You have no passaggio. If you try,
yeah,
it's just
like what would happen
wrecks.
if you tried Recombita, the opening phrase?
oh,
Yeah.
seriously, because and this is something I want to research and have a whole thing.
Oh
on.
yeah.
But
No.
I mean, it's just like you're dehydrated. You have no.
There's no food.
There's no food. There's no energy stores. Like you reach, like when a singer sings, they reach down into their gut. You know,
And
to support-
there's available glucose in the blood
Yes.
to generate that power
yes, and
of
it's like
contraction.
right, and let's go, and it's quick. When you're depleted, man, it's just like
Yeah.
nothing. You have to force. I remember having a lesson with Mark when I was like 172,
Oh,
170, and it was like I could, like vintage Stürma it's not. I wouldn't say it's easy, but in the grand scale of the arias I sing, it's pretty easy. It's not, and I can get through it. That's why I picked that song. Barely survived, and we had to stop like 5 times.
Yeah.
The easiest aria that I sing, I could barely get through it. And then the other day, after I had really refeeded myself after my sister's wedding,
Oh, you unleashed the second greatest exultate.
and I just whipped out an esultate like it was nothing. Just whipped it out.
The only one better is the Delmonico.
It will always be better. It was the best exultate of all time. His birthday was July 27th, by the way. So happy birthday,
That was
Delmonico.
insane. Because you even said, like, yesterday, you're like, I don't know if I can top that.
I did it. I was
so
like,
fucking good.
I was like, no. I mean, that's it. I think I just did that. I think I'm just not gonna ever sing it again because that was it. And it was off a whim. He was like, do it, and I just got myself psyched up, and I was like, all right. And it was just like, and I hadn't sung for weeks. But I could do it because my body had been replenished again.
Right. And, God, we're on this tangent, but I have
Tangents.
to offer evidence to anyone who says you. No, I don't even want to do that. The point is that body fat has less to do with the ability to sing opera than does available energy. By which I mean food stores, and specifically those that come from carbohydrates,
Glycogen. Right.
and water, of course, and being hydrated.
Which is really important because when you're stupid lean, you don't have a lot of glycogen.
Yeah,
which
you
means
don't have
a
glycogen.
lot of water.
You don't have like glucose.
You got shit.
You
got
nothing.
shit.
You got nothing.
And what little you have is just to keep the lights on.
You have bones.
You got bones. You can't sing with
You
bones.
can't say bones, man.
It's like, this is not a bone. This is like muscles covered in mucus. And
Right.
what does mucus need? It needs water
And micronutrients.
and micronutrients.
And you just
It's
you're
just-
not a functional person.
You're just not. And
Yeah. Okay. INBF.
INBF.
Okay. So we didn't want to do it during opera season. We didn't want to do it after your sister's wedding because then you wouldn't have been able to enjoy that. So
And I enjoyed it. I certainly did.
a week before your sister's wedding, the INBF was hosting a competition in Utica.
Yes.
And originally you entered the physique competition.
Mm-hmm.
They emailed you and said, would you like to please enter the bodybuilding competition? And there was a lot of back and forth.
There's a lot of back and forth.
But you settled on, yes, I'm going to. And tell us what, you can go as deep as you want here. What was bodybuilding, why did you choose it, the bodybuilding, to enter that event?
Uh-huh.
And you can, just have fun.
So this is why. As cool as Physique is, I'm passionate about bodybuilding. When I started my posing, like working on my posing stuff, I found myself, I kept doing bodybuilding posing. I was like, why do I keep doing that? And I realized, like, that's what I'm passionate about. And I was like, why am I passionate about bodybuilding as opposed to just generally looking good. And I think it had to do with Arnold. It had to do with growing up watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and then eventually like all of them, and then eventually seeing Pumping Iron, and like seeing that there's this whole world of bodybuilding, and then getting into that, and then like falling in love with like Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates and Frank Zane, obviously, just being like, wow, these guys, like, they just look incredible. Like they just, it's the highest, like, it's like they've taken the human body to its utmost point. And yes, they were all on some sort of steroids or gear, but it was this kind of, like we discussed before, this grandiosity from afar of the body, just seeing, like, oh, you know, this is on a stage. And I love the stage. As a singer, as a performer, I love the stage. So I loved the fitness aspect of it, and I also love the performative stage aspect of it. And so that's why and more so than physique. And I wanted to, it sounds weird, I wanted to suffer. I wanted to push myself as hard as I possibly could. And that means showing your legs. And showing your legs means being, you know, so lean that you got lines on your ass. And I wanted to do that, and it drove me crazy getting there. And it was really, really hard, but I didn't think I would ever be able to do it again, and still don't know where life will take me and if I'll ever be able to do that again. And I was like, I want to go all the way with it, you know. And that was the deepest motivation, was not only because I was passionate about bodybuilding, but like it was like I want to take this leanness as far as I can. And I know it's like, seems like it's a weird goal. It's like, why do you care about getting shredded? It's like, so you'll win. It's like, it was never about winning. It was about conquering myself, my body, my mind. Because your mind plays tricks on you when you get that lean. It makes you into an asshole. It really does.
And the dreams that you have, and the lack of sleep, and
lack of sleep. That's the biggest one, is not sleeping.
Rob, I mean, and it, you know, from this process, you know, you can kind of, when you hear stories about starvation and about eating, you know, like humans at a certain point in time, you know, you can't totally relate to it, because ultimately, you know, things got bad enough. The convenience store is close by, but
exactly.
The degree to which your emotions are affected and what you're willing to do, because your emotional landscape is just on fire, it's like, okay, you can start to see how hunger and starvation makes devils out of us.
He's not lying.
So, okay.
Woo.
So,
sorry. Woo.
So that's why we chose bodybuilding.
To go there.
To go there.
To go
Yeah.
there. To that utmost level of suffering, so I could say that I conquered myself in some way, because
Right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to. And that was another thing, was was trying to rationalize, like, it's not like, oh, I'm doing an Ironman, or, which I would have loved to do as well, or like, oh, I'm doing a marathon. It's like, people can hear that, and that, you know, everyone's exhausted themselves on a run, or, you know, they can understand that kind of suffering, but most people have never been that hungry.
Yeah.
And that does something to you.
Well, it's almost like a. Okay, now we have to start talking in lofty terms, because we've just gotten.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
When you have an athletic competition like an Ironman or a marathon, maybe more of an Ironman, because a marathon, I don't want to say it's not hard, because Lord knows I could literally never do a marathon unless it was a walk.
Yeah.
well, I know that my back would explode and my knees would go out by mile 9.
Oh yeah.
Even at my leanest, where I could actually run. But an Ironman, that's different because you're talking about how many miles is each event?
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's a 2.5 mile swim, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's it's hard, and it's almost always in like it's in actual natural water,
Right.
which is way different from swimming in the
Yeah,
pool.
yeah.
Way different. 112 miles on the bike.
Which is that's
ridiculous.
okay.
And then 26.2 miles on foot. Most people will
Right.
walk,
Right.
Because by that point you're toast.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So-
then a marathon after all that.
So an Ironman, that sounds like to me the equivalent of the athletic equivalent, perhaps, of bodybuilding, in the sense that in the context of that event, the actual Ironman event, the degree of suffering and anger and hell and maybe even like images of the divine that are somewhat hallucinatory
Yeah.
that are going to come to you during that, there is a crossover to getting down to a certain degree of leanness. And what does it mean? Okay, what does it mean? Like it means that every day that you wake up, I'm talking about bodybuilding, when you're in prep, every day you wake up, you have to have your day planned out perfectly. You have to know exactly what time you're going to eat. You have to know exactly what you're going to eat. You have to then calibrate your energy, depending on the day, specifically towards whatever's going to happen or not happen in the gym. Okay. You have to do that for at least, what do we do? I'm going to say at least 60 to 70 days straight.
Yeah.
At least. Because that 6-week time period where we like clamp down, that was 42 days. There was already like 3 to 4 weeks on top of that.
Oh yeah, no, we were already, he was already giving me like workouts.
Right,
and
we were
carbs.
coaching way before that, but
Yeah.
like I for my own purposes, coaching Sam, it was like I knew that those 6 weeks had to be like on the money.
Right.
But even before that, it has to be just daily perfection. And so like
Daily perfection.
you know, think about it, like, and you have to plan out almost bathroom trips because you have to pee so much.
You do.
And you have to plan out phone calls to your family because you know that at a certain point in the day you're going to have no energy to communicate with them. You're going to have
that
to,
hurts.
yeah.
Oh god.
You're going to have to look through your messages and your emails and decide which ones take precedence because you quite literally don't have the mental energy to respond to some of them. You have to give up leisure activities. And it's not just that you give them up, it's that in their place, there are things that you have to do to prepare yourself for the next day, the next week, and the competition itself.
Mm-hmm.
So every single day, I mean, just think about that. Every single day for 70 to 80 days straight has to be a masterpiece.
It has to be like.
And in that masterpiece, you will suffer. You're going to lose probably 40% of the sleep because you just won't be able to, and you're going to morph into a kind of person that it takes. I don't know what it takes, like that better angel on your right shoulder to be as active as possible so that you literally don't punch somebody.
This is not a joke.
Yeah.
I had to have therapy for an hour every single week. And those coping tools that I learned through therapy were essential. As essential as going to the gym and posing or doing the lifts and the cardio. It was that important.
Right.
Because without that, I would have most likely lost my job. I would have lost friends. My relationship with my family, like, it was not going well. Like, I could not Like my mother would call me, and if she didn't get to the point within a minute, I would hang up. I would make an excuse and hang up, or I would just straight up hang up. It was terrible. Like
Yeah.
my mom called me, like, what is it? And she's like, oh, I just want to talk to you. I'm like, I can't. There would be times at work, someone would be trying to converse with me, and I would have to tell them, I can't talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to have an actual conversation. I had to do that with Jose one time.
Yeah.
He was being super nice, and he was asking me about just, nice stuff, just trying to have a nice conversation. I was just like, it's not you, I just don't want to talk right now.
Right.
And
Right.
that's sad. It's dehumanizing.
Yeah. Right. But essentially what
Anyway.
you do through this thing is like you go into yourself and you discover actually the very worst part of yourself. And you're face to face with it. But I don't know, after you're face to face with that, and at the end of it all, and after like knowing that at the very end you still, despite everything, were able to go out on stage and execute what you practiced and look the way you looked, it's like, okay, so I was holding hands with the demon that is in me, and even still, I emerged okay, and I learned some things that you learn along the way.
I learned, this is something we both do, like how important being organized is, how important like setting timers, setting like goals for yourself every day. Like it was crazy. Like I could not handle free time. It was a weird thing about myself, but ultimately made me just a more productive person. But I guess more spiritual things I learned was like I'm way stronger than I thought I was, and because I went through that, I'm like, even though like I said, I was holding hands with the demon inside me, now I can use that demon when I need to for the right things, to be strong, to stand up for myself, which is something I could just never do. I can do that now because I've suffered, I've gone through something that qualifies me as like I'm a person. Like I'm not just this person floating around anymore. I'm not just this abstract. No, I'm a human being. I'm very aware of my humanity now because of the hunger. I mean, that suffering.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
Well, I wonder, because it's, I want to maybe make it a definitive thing, or at least close to it. Because it's like, we went to a competition, and like you said, and the goal wasn't to win. There was a goal, there's an achievement there, and the achievement wasn't weight only, and it wasn't, well, it was physique. I mean, you wanted to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, I think the achievement is like, I got there, not, oh, I looked like that. Like, the achievement is that you followed through with the journey itself.
Yes. I said
So-
I was going to, and I did it.
Right. And it was a specific kind of, so there's that part of it too, which is like, you set a goal, and you hit the goal, and then there's the other part of it is like, I wonder if there's something that compare it to. I mean, I've heard about people going on meditative retreats in an effort to learn something deeper about themselves, or the thing that is now just populating my imagination at all times, just the psilocybin thing.
Yeah.
Which the point of that is you want to discover that those things that are hard to uncover in normal conscious experience. And this has those components too. I mean, like if a meditative retreat, I've heard of them being like months long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this isn't a meditative retreat, but it is months long.
It is months long, and there's actually something. There's biblical aspects, and also like Eastern meditation often includes fasting for long periods of time. And while this is not the same as fasting, because I'm eating 5 meals a day, it is essentially being in a deep caloric deficit for a very long time and reaching that state of leanness and that state of hunger does, I think, offer some of the same benefits of fasting and mental clarity.
Yeah.
But and like I said, I'm not smart enough to really go into this, but I think there's something to it.
And
something to that hunger.
Yeah. And there are meditative states too.
Yeah.
Which, and I'm getting this actually from, I used to work at Bamboo and Ice Cream, and there was a guy I worked with in 81st Street named Christian. And he lived in the Bronx, and he was, I think he was about my age. But he, man, I have to say, he wasn't like he had actually some pretty good insights, but this person wasn't like a philosopher or anything like that. But he tried to be in tune with people. He made the effort to be. And he said that, but I could also tell that when I interacted with him. But he'd asked me about going to the gym because this is in the middle of my God. And he goes, Zach, I mean, I meditate, and it sounds like when you're on the bike that you're in a meditative state.
Yes. Yes.
And I never, ever had considered that. And now, there could be nothing truer.
It's so true. That's something I learned in therapy was we're doing dialectical behavioral therapy, and one of the things we learned was if you are fully involved in something, that is, in essence, meditation. Yeah. I mean, it's a simplified version of it.
Well, it's like
fully focused and involved.
Right. So when you're in the present moment, right now the conversation's intense. We're talking about something that we love.
Right.
There's almost nothing else coming through my mind. There are a few things, but it's mostly this. It's like, meditating? Are we living?
I know.
Is the center of is meditation actually just the scratch and climb to life and living and consciousness?
Very well could be.
So then it's like, well, when you're doing the bodybuilding cut down and every part of your day has to be thought about, and somehow maybe the fixation on hunger, though it's not like healthy and something that you should do for a pronounced period of time, it's like you definitely are in the present moment.
Yeah, you're feel alive.
You're like, sure. You know exactly how your body feels. And there's the hyper awareness because of what you need, quite literally. So this journey, I'd say the first part of it definitely is yours anyway. It's like, I want to be fit and healthier and feel good about myself. And then we went to the competitive part of it. And the competitive part of it has this battle. It's like elongated battle with yourself more than anything else, really.
Speaking of an elongated battle, I really have to use the bathroom. Like, I'm dying I'm so sorry. I will edit this out or something, but like, if I don't go right now, I'm in so much pain. And I've been in pain for a long time. But that's part of the process, is learning.
We'll put this on pause. Part 2, post urine break. I wonder why. Actually, that was a good thought, but I don't think we really have much more to say about the spiritual part of it. What was like the day of the show? What was that like?
There was so much excitement, but also so much anxiety. Every single little thing that went slightly wrong sent me into a absolute panic and rage. I was so hungry. I was so depleted. But I was like, but deep down, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm so excited. This is like what, this is what it was all for. But man, the spray tan, and then it was raining, and I was like, I can't go out in the rain, Zach. I have a spray tan. And then it was like, I was just such a bitch. And it was just like, every little thing. Like, I literally, like, right before walking inside of the venue, I screamed, like, primally in rage and slammed the door to the car. Because we couldn't find the fucking venue because the directions weren't very clear. And then the door was locked. It was just like there's so many little things that went wrong, which a normal person is not that fazed by. But when you're this blood-starved beast, you're just like, fuck! Like, I was just... And then I went back there, it's like, hi, where do I sign in? Fuck! And it was just... It was horrible. I was a horrible person. Because I was under 170 pounds. That's not me. I like to be 200 pounds. But I was 167 pounds.
Man.
I was a piece of shit. That's how I was. I felt so bad for Zach. I was like, man.
No, dude,
I'm so sorry, dude.
Dude, the moment where I was like, okay, I need to just get him on stage by any means possible, was the day before.
Oh, really? Oh,
We
no.
walked into the lobby. There was clearly a microwave in the, like, in a hotel lobby, there's always like a snack area or whatever.
Yeah.
We go up to the room, and because we brought cream of rice, I wanted to be having no fiber.
No fiber.
So
Although I do love cream of rice, so still.
there wasn't a microwave in the room. No big deal. Just go downstairs. And Sam just like chucks the stuff in this. I forget exactly what he said. He's like, fuck, there's no fucking how am I supposed to fucking eat? There's no microwave. God damn it. And then I was like, okay.
I was so... It still pisses me off. Like, there should be a microwave in every room. You fucking kidding me? But man, I was on that day.
But I was like, all right, if whatever has to happen for him to get on stage. And then when I was really worried, they came out and they gave halfway decent instructions about how the posing was going to go, the routines were going to go. This is right before.
Oh God!
And Sam's in the chair.
No, thank you.
Sam's in the chair, slumped over. And they go, does anyone have any questions at the end of this whole thing? Sam raised his hand, and to my dying day, I'll never know exactly what he asked.
I don't even know what I asked.
He mumbled words, and they themselves were kind of vague. So it was this exchange of supposedly the English language that led to absolutely nothing.
It was as if we were speaking different
I
language.
literally, he was on the other side of me, but I was like, no, we got it. We understand.
He was like, I speak for him. It was literally not making sense.
I didn't want you to. It was so bad that I couldn't bear you to speak another word. It's like,
he's not kidding. It was horrible. It was not English. It was not a language. Just incoherent mumbling, groaning.
The funniest part was the funniest thing is that it never actually had to happen. But they talked about what was supposed to happen for the physique posing, but it didn't apply to novices.
Right.
So I go, oh man, you have to do a whole T-walk for physique posing. So I was like, all right, so here's what you have to do. And I was like, well, there are 5 spots on the floor. I want you to stop. This spot, you go. I was like, I with my hand, I was like, you need to go. You walk across the stage. Here, 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 and then exit. Okay? Can you say that again for me? And Sam, literally, he goes,
No.
I was like, okay, all right, 5 spots on the floor. Just remember, 5 spots, all right? And it was like, as soon as I felt confident that he like knew that it was 5, that he could count to 5, I was like, okay, good. You can count to 5. Now, can I put every one of those numbers? Can I attach a pose to each one of those numbers because he had to pose in all 5 places. This is what I thought. And by, I think, the 4th or 5th repetition of this,
4 or 5 times.
I was like, okay, if he has to do a T-walk, which in my mind at that point in time, both of us were like, he has to do a T-walk for the physique posing. It's like, he's going to be able to do it because he said it, which means that somewhere in his brain this has happened. And he's visualized this to some degree. So it's possible. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's possible. But oh man, I have no idea what you asked them.
I don't know.
You're like,
I don't remember
because they were not the greatest presenters of all time, but clear enough that it made sense. To
Not
me, it
to
was
me.
conscious. I think it was. You're like, wait. So does the T-walk happen with the physique posing and
Yeah.
and which didn't make any sense. And so we were like, the whole
They
room
looked to me like,
no, the
what?
whole room was like, it was a pin drop because I think everyone else also knew he was on the verge of death. Now, here's what was awesome: you were the leanest person there.
Really?
Well, we talked about this already.
Yeah, I think I was
I-
based on like what how you were describing and some of the pictures I saw from a distance, like how my legs looked
Yeah.
was
Well, you stood on stage with legitimate, natural bodybuilding competitors, like guys who have a future in this.
yeah. There's really strong, like, great looking.
And you were in the lightweights.
lightweight.
Thank God, because I asked you if you wanted to be in the middleweights.
Yeah,
Middleweights came out monsters.
big dudes. Big, tall, freaking
Just
giant
monster men and shredded. Probably, I'm gonna try not to overestimate here, but I'd say the majority of the competitors were between 6 and 8% body fat, and Sam was 5 to 6.
dudes. Yeah.
There was no one above 8. I don't think.
No, there was
Maybe in some physique.
Physique. Yes, in physique there were some
Yeah,
guys that were above, but still looked amazing.
Still looked amazing.
Like there's that one dude. He looked like he just walked in off the street like that. Like he just was born with
Right.
amazing genetics.
Yeah.
And like big muscles.
No,
but
right. And the way that he was moving around backstage, it was like he didn't even prep.
No, it was seriously, and like
He was like that gifted that
Yeah.
he just, I think, was going about his life and was like, I think I'll enter a physique show.
yeah, I think I'll take my shirt off, put some lotion on,
Yeah.
and pose.
And actually, in his division, I think looked to me like I'm trying to recall, looked like the 3rd place guy in his division. But had he prepped, he should have been in bodybuilding.
Yes,
I think he would have been. There was a guy in his class, physique-wise, that had a better V, just a better like physique.
Mm-hmm.
But he had like this kind of one of these. Among the other, he had big pecs,
Huge chest.
and great
Great
ab
abs.
genetics. But a distinguishing characteristic about him was he had these. I guess I'm calling them this for fun now because I've noticed mine growing. Deadlift traps.
Yes.
They're like, it's like this chunk of meat that just comes over you like that, and he had that too. So I feel like in bodybuilding he would have been quite a thing if he prepped.
Yes.
Maybe he did prep, who knows? But he looked just like, I think I'll enter the physique competition because I look like this.
It's true for real.
Yeah, but
it was pretty damn lean.
But I sat in the last row of the auditorium because I like doing that, and I guess I just didn't change my style for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But Sam, against guys who were bigger, who have been doing this for clearly more years,
Mm-hmm.
Sam had the most defined legs among them, which I thought was quite a testament to the suffering you went through. And also your genetics to like have that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect my legs, and it was only in my last like two-ish weeks that I was like, wow, like I'm like, and also the better I got at posing, the better I got at like bringing out each muscle group in my legs. And it's
Right.
like, oh wow, it's like really showing.
Right, which is the next thing I want to talk
Yeah.
about. Your posing was, your individual posing was probably third or fourth best, just the way that you moved on stage. The guys that I would say were ahead of you were, again, guys who've been doing this. The number one top guy was the Asian guy, who
Yeah.
I think probably placed second or third in his division.
I think he got third. I thought he should have gotten second or first, but he got third.
I don't think he should have won, but his individual posing routine was incredible.
It was, yeah.
I
I saw a bit. I didn't see it from the stage, but I saw a little bit of it backstage. I love what he was doing.
It was so.
I was like, that's awesome.
The style of posing that we went with, mostly I think because he just like, that's what we knew. It was like you'd hit, like you'd clearly hit different poses as the music shifted around.
Right.
This guy would be on stage and it was more of a showcase than a posing routine. So like he'd come out in a certain way, like this or something, and then he'd like, the rest of his body would stay still, and then he'd make sure he's like, I'm gonna show you everything here.
Yeah.
And then he'd switch it up and kind of do that
He's
alongside
quick, too.
pose. Yeah, he was quick, but it all went well with the music. His routine was amazing, and I guess having seen that, were I or you or some other person associated with us to ever want to do a bodybuilding routine, if they got to the point where they looked like they could pull off something like that, I would go in that direction for sure.
Yeah.
Because that looked like Zanian.
Right.
In its presentation,
Mm-hmm.
which was like, it wasn't just, it had both the element of the total body and then also the individual muscle group was displayed as well, with purpose. Like I said, like this thing, it's like, I want you to see, like, now I want you to see my forearm. Now I want you to see the peak in my bicep. Okay. Now I want you to see some of my tricep here.
Mm-hmm.
And he would do it like that, and it's like, and alongside the generic pose, it's just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else? I don't know. The competition was just an incredible experience to like see what humans are capable of.
Yeah.
Because
we saw some specimens.
Yeah. And,
Joe.
well, yeah, the guy who won the overall bodybuilding was just, I mean, he had like, he had striations that were like crossing over on his chest. And the same thing on his mid-track. They were like, it's like crossing across his spinal column.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. And
big.
and it was enough, but the competition, you know, was a testament to, again, I'll say it again, you were the most conditioned athlete there amongst guys who've been doing this for a while, or like, and the way that you moved on stage, posing wise. I keep using the word noble how you did it because it was very the one distinguishing characteristic is that you took your time, which I actually don't know.
That maybe took too much time.
Well, I was going to say, like, maybe in a future, if there was a future show, we'd work on like the same nobility, but like less time between poses.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were willing to take your time, like, no, I need to pose like this in order to get the best result for myself.
Right.
It resulted in you posing at your best, but also like a striking way of moving on stage. Like the physique posing, every time, because we talked about him wanting to show off his lats, it was so good. So every time that there would be a side pose, he'd take his time to show it and then go into the side pose. Or transitioning between poses was always very athletic and dance-like.
Yeah, I wanted to be as graceful as possible.
And it came off that way too. So
right.
I mean, that was pretty cool to see, and
I'm just glad it didn't fall over. Because I mean, I was close to it, and in prepping for these poses, they seem easy, but when you're contracting all these different muscle groups in kind of unnatural ways, like It was hard. Like there was so many times I almost fell over, like doing back delta bicep. Like,
Yeah.
Good Lord, it's just not like in order to like contract
That
my
Christmas tree, yeah.
getting the Christmas tree, like lower back fired up, but also getting your hamstrings fired up and your calves, and standing a certain way and leaning back as far as you can. It's a lot of balance work.
Yeah.
There was so much of I spent so many hours in the gym and at home just making sure I wouldn't fall over.
Yeah.
And when you're like depleted as all hell, like you don't have the equilibrium you used to. So I was, like I said, I don't know how I did it, but somehow I didn't fall over on stage, and that was my goal. I was like, I just don't want to look like a buffoon up there.
Right.
That was my only goal.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, so
Yeah.
do you have any questions?
When's the next show?
Oh.
No, in 2 years. But I don't really have any questions. But I guess there are questions though. It's like, what? It's something like future topics we'll go into at some point, like how lifting heavy versus like strength lifting versus hypertrophy and how that affects your voice. Do either really affect the voice?
Yeah.
Calories versus body fat percentage, and how does that affect your singing? And it's like we can speculate on these things based on experience,
we'll
but
talk about those in
to
a
scientifically
minute.
go into it, that would be my next like
Right.
big question. It's like, what, like, is it just a matter of having enough oatmeal in you, or is it like you don't want to be below a certain body fat? Where's the happy nutritional and like body composition happy medium for
Yeah.
singing? That's what I want to know. And how easy is that to sustain? Because it would be nice to be on stage and look good and sound good.
Yeah.
And be able to take your shirt off and sing and not look, like huge.
Right.
Or huge, but in a good way.
Yeah. One final thing. If you had to choose 3 foods that you like relied on, like you needed, like that got you through the day.
I can tell you,
And it can be like a whole recipe, or it can be just a specific food.
French toast. Could not start a day.
The anabolic low fat.
The anabolic French toast with 647 bread, any low calorie bread that's like 40 to 45 calories.
And the syrup.
And syrup. Oh yeah, so much Miss Butterworth's sugar-free syrup. So much of that.
Thank you, Greg Doucette.
Thank you, Greg Doucette. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But for so many things. But French toast, spinach. I ate any leafy green, but mainly for me it was spinach, romaine lettuce, some kind of big ass salad that eventually just turned into I'm going to eat a pound of lettuce or spinach. So it was French toast, spinach, and for the last one, not a food, but Diet Coke. Like, I could not have done this without some sort of bubbly beverage, and my one of choice was Diet Coke. Not only because I love Diet Coke, but it has caffeine in it. Also popcorn. I'd say Diet Coke and popcorn. And there's so many foods that are staples, but popcorn, spinach, French toast. And eventually when it got to like competition time, shakes, which like ice cream shakes. The chocolate goat shake that Zach makes, and that exact recipe I still make. I made it last night. Like it is very, very, very filling, and that's key. So I could go on and on about filling foods, but yeah, it was French toast got me through the day. I was like, if I had my French toast, I knew it'd be okay. Spinach got me through like work because it took a long time to digest, kept me full for a long time, and Diet Coke kept me alive.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The next episode is going to be on the male top voice.
Oh!
Hi! 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 Hi!
Yep. lot of that. A lot of hooking.
Can you do the beva notes?
Oh. Yeah.
That was ugly, but we got it.
Hey. That's an A.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about male top voice.
No, not
I would say, interestingly, at the midpoint of our development, because the male voice doesn't stop until about 32, 35-ish.
Depends, yeah.
Especially with bigger engines.
Thick voices. Thick boy voices.
So we're at the midpoint. I would say you're farther along than could by at least 25%. But nevertheless,
Smaller voice, though.
we're both 28, and this is a good check-in. It'll be good for us to even go back and see it later.
Yeah, it would be.
See where we were wrong and where we were right. Okay.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding, Anabolic Opera Bros.
That's right.
Welcome to the channel.
Welcome to the channel.
Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Look at this.
all right, that's it.
Look at that bicep.
Yeah. God.